Hey everybody, welcome back. Snicker Fly Time Tutorials. Today we're gonna tie up some bait fish patterns. We're getting really close to that time of year over here where we have our minnow hatch. So anyway, we're just gonna tie some of the bugs that we like to fish a lot in our area. Really cool bait fish imitations, at least we think so. Drop really fast, have a great profile, some great flash on them, and are really easy to tie. This is just a little rainbow trout. All the rainbows that spawned this spring are up in the shallows right now. They're getting decent sized, and what happens over here is we get an irrigation drop, and we call it the minnow hatch. So all those fish that have been, or all those bait fish, minnows that have been hanging out in the shallows have to jump in the big pool with all the big fish, and it can be a lot of fun. So go ahead and get started. Got a believe a mustad hook here in a 60-degree jig, stainless steel. We have these on the site. This one's a size 2, time in 4s, 2s, 6s. Going for some biggies out here tomorrow, so I'm gonna tie this one in a 4 or a 2. So I've got some wax thread here. Yellow is what I have. You could do it with whatever color you like. Whoops. Typically match the body color of the insect or of the bait fish. We're gonna go ahead and add some clouser eyes onto this jig hook up here towards the front, like the classic clouser minnow. A lot of times people really struggle with getting these eyes on there. They spin a lot. There's a couple tricks. You can glue the crud out of them. Still doesn't work all that great, but what we like to do is we'll take like a piece of 30-40 pound mono for a butt section of a leader or whatever, and we'll add that right here at the front, and I'm going to tie it onto the side just through this front little zone right here where my eyes are going to go. I'm just creating like a little base here, and you can do just one side. I like doing 2 here. I'll show you what this looks like from above in just a moment. It's probably right on the max of the mono size. It's probably 40. But what we'll do is we'll tie that in and get that flat spot on the top of our hook shank right here, like so. And that will allow us to get these eyes to really stick on a flatter spot. It works really well to keep them from spinning. We'll put a little head cement on there. Now we're just gonna take our clouser eyes, ones we like this time of year, the large MFCs, got a great pupil on them, gold finish. The painted ones, we're starting to fish some lower water. You know, we start getting a lot more chips on them, where these eyes tend to hold their color better with the chrome plating or the gold plating. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and attach these, and I'm gonna attach them a little ways back. This is gonna be the head of that fly. We're gonna tie a baby rainbow trout here. And then I'll just do some X-wraps. Pull it tight, you know, a couple around like that, but that'll really anchor those eyes so you don't have the problem with them spinning as much. So Krinklezon clouser we've had for quite some time now. It's a ripple ice kind of fiber, like Caroline's fiber, but ours is a little thicker, a little longer, and a little stiffer. And we use this a lot in a lot of our bait fish. And it works really well for tying this little baby rainbow. So we're gonna go ahead and just start our thread. After we tied the eyes on, I'm gonna come back to just where the shank starts to bend right there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of our polar white Krinklezon. It's about that wide or so, 3.5 inches long. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take and figure my tail length, about the same length as the shank, maybe a little longer. And I'm gonna tie that on top. Make sure it's anchored right there. No body on this fly, it's just all thread. And I'll advance my thread forward, strapping that Krinklezon down. And then I like to jump my thread in front of the eye, pull that Krinklezon over, give her a couple wraps like so, and then I'll jump back behind the eye and I'll pull that clump of Krinklezon back over. That locks the Krinklezon in really well, covers up those barbells, and gives us kind of a complete full belly, or the start of, on this bait fish. I'm going to take another little clump of the Krinklezon. On this one, we're going to jump back in front of the eyes, and I'll just put that clump right on there. Give her a couple securing wraps on top. And now what I'll do, I'll tip this towards you, but I'm going to go ahead and come from my side to the other side of the fly, over the top, back behind this eye, and back down. What that's going to do is just give me a couple little wraps right here that'll keep that Krinklezon laying a little flatter than it would if I were to just tie it in. And this is giving us the belly of this rainbow trout. So now what I'll do with my remaining Krinklezon is I'll just flip that over and give her a little half a dozen wraps. And this is going to make up the belly of that rainbow trout. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flip the hook over in our Renzetti rotary vise. If you don't have one, just turn the hook over. Pretty easy stuff. So our rainbow trout spawn in the spring here and then spend the summer growing up, and the offspring, the minnows at this point in the game are 2-3 inches long, up to 4 inches long, depending on when they spawn. But so we'll just put a little bit of our dark salmon Krinklezon in there. We just tied it in the middle like a mustache, and then fold that back, just getting a little pink band in there of that dark salmon Krinklezon. And now I'll take a little bit, another little clump of our holographic silver. This has some really cool refraction on it. You know, rainbow trout definitely have that little bit of real bright white chrome to them. And I'll do the same thing here. I'm just taking small amounts, small clumps, tying them in the middle, and then anchoring them in front of the eyes, and then folding it back on itself. Super durable fly. Less is more on these things, meaning that you don't need to get a ton of material to get the effect you're looking for. And we're just layering these colors up like on a rainbow. If I was tying like an all white, like a sucker minnow or something for salt, whatever, you just adjust the colors for whatever bait fish you have in your area. For the bass, we'll do a lot of chartreuse and white, etc., etc. But okay, so now we've got our rainbow on there, we've got our dark salmon, and for the very last topper on our rainbow trout, Krinklezon minnow, Krinklezon clouser with the K. We'll use a little of our peacock Krinklezon, and we're gonna just repeat that same step. I'll make it a little longer on the top, a little shorter out the front, because I'm just gonna give it a wrap, and then take the extra stuff, fold it over, same way like Brandon says, rinse and repeat, that we put all those materials on there, like so. We like putting these on a jig hook because we'll fish them on a dry line, long leader, and ripping these things into tight pockets, rip-rap banks, stuff like that. And they just seem to not get hung up near as much. Whip finish right there. They seem to get not as hung up near as much with that little jig hook. And it's a super strong hook without a huge gap, so works pretty well for the trout and the bass around here. God bless our cutthroat rainbow trout doing their cutthroat and brown trout. They're doing their best to kill all these baby rainbows before they get big and compete with them over here. Just give it a little twist at the end. Then you can clip it up as much as you want. You know, trim here, trim there. I usually don't worry about it. All kind of, as soon as I throw it in the water, all this stuff kind of flows together. This gives you a really great profile minnow, regardless of what kind you want to tie. We've got stuff you can tie: brown trout, cutthroat trout, every bait fish that swims. But this is the little rainbow trout that we tie. There's not a lot of material in here. There's no body material on it. It holds the shape really, really well of that bait fish, refracts a lot of light, and it's a great fly to fish in the fall as water's getting a little bit lower. But we've got all the stuff for this. You can do some hybridization if you want. We have standard Krinklezon in, I don't know, a dozen colors. And then we have the hyper Krinklezons that are blends of Krinklezon. We got it in a bunch of different colors. And then we have a really great hybrid product that is really catching on fast. And we're really digging playing with this too. It's called Kilowatt. We can make a billion colors of this stuff too. And this has a little filler fiber in it that adds durability to it, dulls it down just a touch, but gives us some more extended length. And you know, the color spectrums are crazy. Here's some of the Kilowatt in like sunburst orange or sunburst yellow, copper, peacock. We've got a bunch of them, but anyway, you can use these materials, the Krinklezon, the hyper Krinklezon, and the Kilowatt in a million different combinations to tie this same style of bait fish. And we love fishing these things. They work really great. So appreciate you tuning in. If you like these videos, always awesome if you like or subscribe. You can check out this stuff on our Shopify site. It's live as we speak right now. Get you some materials, got free shipping over 40 bucks. And if you want to start getting ready for bait fish season, try some of these Krinklezon bait fish minnows out from Snake River Fly. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching.